everybody, it's Emily from Life So Savory, and today I'm going to be showing you how to turn a hoodie into a zip hoodie instead of a pullover. So this is a super useful hack that I use all the time around here because I have my oldest who loves hoodies, pullover style, and then my next child who gets the hand-me-downs, who hates them and can only wear zip hoodies. So I transform the pullovers into zips for the next child down. So this is something that I've been doing for a few years now. It's super helpful. I wrote a tutorial about it. You can find the link in the description of this video. But today I'm going to walk you through doing it because I have a hoodie that needs a zipper. So I thought I would walk it through with you live and show you how I do it. So please let me know if you have any questions along the way. Hi, Michelle. I'm so happy you guys are here, and we're going to get started in just a minute. So let me know what you're up to today. I would love to know what's going on with you, and we are going to get sewing here in just a minute. So just have to take care of a few things here. And then we'll get started. Okay, hopefully you guys are doing well this week. Hi, Peg. All right, gonna share to my group. If this is anywhere along the way, something that you think you might want to recreate someday, there's a great couple of ways that you can save this. One, you can hit share on the bottom of the video, which will share this to your timeline so you can come back and find it. You can also click through to the post and pin it or save it or whatever you do to save posts that you like that you find online. So thanks guys for checking in. I'm almost finished here, and then I'm gonna show you what we are working on today. It's a good one. Okay, so like I mentioned, my oldest son loves pullover hoodies. So he wears them all the time to school, at home, you know, wherever. He always has a pullover hoodie on. Actually, I'm gonna leave this up just in case I need to reference my tutorial here. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay. So I'll move this back though. So he loves the pullover hoodies. Now I just am realizing, actually, as I'm doing this right now, that the hoodies he's currently wearing this season may or may not work in a couple years for my middle son because they have big graphics right on the chest. So obviously that doesn't work as well as either a side graphic or, like this one today, a back graphic. So you can just think through that. I should actually, you know, sometimes it might work to cut open if it's a big enough graphic and you can see it on both sides of the zipper, but that will come into place. I'm also gonna add one other little detail, and that is to add some stabilizer along either side of the zipper as I sew it. This is water soluble and sticky because one of the hoodies that I did last year was pretty wobbly going up and down the zipper. And then another one that I did, which I photographed for the tutorial, looks great and it lays flat. So I just thought, why not add some stabilizer? It will wash away the first time we wash it. So it's not gonna really bother or affect our project, but that's what you need. So here's what you need. You need a separating zipper. And if you are looking for any of these supplies, you can find them in the post that's linked to this tutorial. So if you click through to my blog, you'll be able to find it. So we have a separating zipper, and we have this hoodie, okay? So you can see this one is all black on the front, and then on the back has the graphic. It's my kid's school, and then on the arm has a fun other detail. So this is a great one to chop because there's nothing on the front. And you can see this is my little hack. I add vinyl names inside the hoods for my kids because, you know, how many kids at school have the same hoodie when it's school spirit wear? Lots of them. So I wanted to make sure that we could know which hoodie was his. So this survived a year and a half of older son wearing it, but now middle child hates the pullover. He will not wear it. So we're gonna cut it open so that we can get more wear out of this sweatshirt. We're still going to the same school, so there's no reason why we can't cut this open and use it for the next child. Okay, so again, all these details are in the blog post that's associated with this live video. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask in the comments below, and I will answer them as I'm sewing. Okay, so the other thing you need is some scrap matching fabric to make the little zipper stops at the top of the zipper. If you happen to have an extra sweatshirt fleece, of course, that is preferred, or French terry. I don't have either of those today, so I'm just using some black cotton lycra because the color is the same, but I wish it were a little bit thicker. It'll probably be easier to sew because it's not as thick, but it's what I have to work with today. So the other thing is, depending on how the hood overlaps, this one has an overlap, so it's going to be a little bit trickier, and we'll probably maybe have to pick out a little bit rather than if it just meets flush, we can cut right to it. But with the overlap, we're going to have to finagle around there a little bit. So what I first want to do is find the center of my bottom, because we're going to cut this sweatshirt in half. Match it this way. So I'm going to match the side seams so I can mark the center. Okay, so there's the center of the bottom marked. Let me put this down so you guys can see a little bit what's better going on here. Okay, so there's the center, and then we're going to cut it up to the top, and we're going to, you can see how it overlaps a little bit. We're going to aim right from the middle. Hi, Birdie. I'm just north of Denver. Close by. It's a beautiful day. Okay, so we're going to take scissors. You could mark all the way up your sweatshirt if you wanted. You know me, I just kind of wing it. So I'm going to cut up through the center of the pocket. Okay, then I'm going to readjust so I can aim straight up the top. And again, we are going to head for the middle of that cross. Okay, now I'm not gonna cut the hood because I don't wanna cut the hood. But what I am gonna do now is unpick where the hood crosses. Okay, so with a seam ripper or tiny scissors, we're gonna open this up. Okay, so just a little bit of finagling. And this actually might, will give us a little bit of extra fabric here at the top and might actually help us with our creating a zipper stop. All right, so here's one side of the hood that I unpicked, a little rip there, but it'll be fine. And then here's the other side of the hood that I unpicked. Sorry, the black is not ideal. But you can see how this one just has a nice overlap. So this is gonna be really easy to sew on this side. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is add our zipper to either side. But before I do that, this time I'm adding the stabilizer to try and avoid any rippling or rumpling along there. So this is water-soluble, sticky stabilizer. So it will disappear as soon as we wash this. You can, if you don't have sticky stabilizer, other things that are great to use for stabilizing your zipper are a glue stick. So you can just glue your zipper down, and I know that sounds funny, but it actually does help to prevent a lot of what I'm trying to avoid here, where you get some ripples and the fabric stretches out. So I don't know if anyone else has any tips for zipper installation. This is obviously super easy because we're just gonna stick it on and then sew it down, and then all we gotta do is wash it to get rid of it. But there are definitely other ways to do this if you don't have sticky stabilizer. So this is from Sulky sticky stabilizer, but there actually are many other brands that would have it. I love using this on knit fabrics for stabilization. Okay, so now we have our fronts stabilized, okay? And we're ready to sew one part of our zipper. So the top, where the top of the zipper ends and where the hood meets and where we are trying to not have the zipper tab fly off the top, that's the tricky part of this. Otherwise, it's pure and simple zipper installation. But in order to try and create a zipper stopper on the top of our zipper, the tutorial suggests to cut a piece of fabric. Again, this works best if it's actually sweatshirt fleece, but I don't have that today. We want to cut 2 pieces, approximately 2 inches by 3 inches. Let's see, that's 3. And this can be approximate, okay? So we've got 2 pieces that are going to help us with the top of our zipper. But first, let's pin a zipper to this side. So we're going to begin with right sides together. So right side of the zipper. Can you guys see down the table here? Right side of the zipper. So the bottom, we're going to align the bottom separating part of the zipper with the bottom of the hoodie. And this is another amazing project for using clips instead of pins. It is so much easier to attach the zipper using clips. So we're gonna clip it all the way up this stabilized side of the sweatshirt. Right sides are together because when we flip it over, we want the right side of the zipper facing out. You can see here I found a pretty maroon red zipper, which actually is the same color. Wait, it's not even right sides together. All that, and I put the right side up. Not even paying attention to my own instructions. What was I gonna say? Oh, so this zipper is a coordinating color, not a matching color, but I think it's gonna add a little fun detail to the front of this hoodie because actually, like I had showed you, it doesn't have any graphic on the front. The graphic is only on the back. So I am lining up the edge of the zipper with the cut edge of the sweatshirt. And so actually, you know, we have taken a little bit of seam allowance away, but then we add the zipper back. So it ends up to be about the same width, maybe slightly bigger depending on your zipper, but we're not really losing any width of the sweatshirt. Okay, so that's important for when you're thinking about how it's gonna fit. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to cut the top of the sweatshirt, or sorry, the top of the zipper. And I'm going to bring this over here and give you a little bit of a close-up so you can see how I am positioning this on the top of the zipper here. Okay, so here's the top of our sweatshirt, and here's the little bit of the hood that we cut. So we want to sew that back in. And so we're going to take our piece of fabric that we cut and fold it with the long sides together. Okay, and then we're going to put the zipper teeth in the center of this and fold it over. Okay, so you can see how we're creating a little bit of a zipper stop. So the folded edge is down, the folded middle is towards the zipper teeth, and then we're actually going to just use this to curve around and off the sweatshirt. I think I have this too long still. I'm going to cut a couple more teeth off the zipper. And this is too big. We're definitely going to have to trim it. But so you can see how I'm using this piece of fabric to guide the zipper actually off the edge of the fabric, so that when we turn it right side out, there's just a little tab and no raw edges showing. That's our goal. And my zipper tab is actually going up slightly onto the hood. So depending on what your sweatshirt looks like and how the hood was cut, that's how we're gonna sew it, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna sew this side of the zipper on, and then we're gonna come back and pin and sew the other side of the zipper. So let's swing this over. Okay. So we have our sewing machine. This is not wanting to stay positioned. And I'm going to change a couple of things. So one, I'm going to put my zipper foot on. Two, I'm going to change from an all-purpose needle, which is what I have in here, or universal. We're going to take that off, and we are going to put on a jean or a heavy-duty needle. Okay, so you want something with a little more oomph, because at several places in this project, you are sewing many layers of fabric. Okay, so a jean or a heavy-duty needle, and then you're going to want to put on coordinating or matching thread. So I'm going to put black thread on here to match my hoodie, and then I'll be able to sew and not worry about it showing either. Okay, so there's the upper needle. So we'll take, I had a red bobbin on here. I definitely don't want to have to worry about red thread and how that would look if I were sewing with that. So if you have pretty perfect stitches all the time, you can go ahead and sew with a bright thread. It would look really pretty down the front of your sweatshirt, but you have to, make sure everything, you want it to be seen. I don't really want my stitches to be seen, so I'm not going to sew with them. All right, so I'm going to start down here at the bottom of the zipper, and the very bottom of the zipper often has some plastic coating, so beware when you're sewing. This is again another reason why I put the heavy duty needle on. It will clunk a little bit through that plastic, and sometimes you may need to hand guide the needle. So I'm going to back stitch to really secure the bottom of that zipper, and then with my zipper foot I'm stitching up the side of the sweatshirt. Remember, I also put that stabilizer to try and help keep everything flat, and I'm stitching not super close to the teeth, but sort of down the middle of the zipper tape. We will, when this is all finished, turn the seam allowance to the back side and top stitch to hold everything in place. But I'm just going to double check that it looks like everything is sewing. You can open up your zipper and see. Yep, it looks like it's attaching nicely. So I'm sewing from the bottom to the top, and I like doing this because the top is easier to adjust than the bottom. That has a distinct end, whereas if I got off a little bit on my clipping, I can go ahead and adjust the top of the zipper when I get to it to make sure everything still lays flat. So remember, we've put this little zipper tab on with fabric. Now it's time to move that zipper pull out of the way. We've used the fabric as our guide to completely cover the top of the teeth, which will be our zipper stop, so that zipper pull doesn't come flying off the top. And believe me, I've done that. Okay, so when you cut a zipper, you have to make sure we can add an ending. And then it also is going to curve the zipper teeth off to the inside of the jacket so we don't see that cut edge, and kind of give a nice stopper to the top of our zipper. Okay, so now when I get up here with this other fabric, I want to make sure that I'm sewing it correctly. And if you're stitching over any zipper teeth, make sure that you are being very careful. All right, so let's take a look at close up what this looks like here at the top. So here it is unfolded. Here's my little flap of fabric, and I sewed it off at an angle so that when I fold this back, you can see there's no exposed raw fabric, and my zipper is completely enclosed up here in the top, okay? And then when we top stitch this down, so this white is just my stabilizer. Again, it will wash away, so we don't have to worry about seeing that. But as this goes down, you can see that the zipper is installed along this one edge. So now we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so again, we're gonna open up the hoodie, and with right sides together, I'm going to start at the bottom. Whoops. Start at the bottom and pin or clip that zipper along my stabilized edge. And I will start again at the bottom. I think it's best to start both directions, sewing from the same way. This gets a little tricky because in order to sew it, we have to sew this top up. So maybe I won't, I don't know. I do ideally like sewing the same way both directions, but it's not always possible. Logistically, as I think through how this will go on my sewing machine. Arnell, so the stabilizer washes away, but what it does is prevent the sweatshirt, which has some stretch in it, from stretching while I'm sewing the zipper on. So I've had sweatshirts that I've done this to that the zipper ended up being wavy down the front because as I was sewing, I allowed the fabric to stretch, and that was something, you know, I should have caught along the way and didn't. And when I allow that fabric to stretch, then you know, it just doesn't look as nice. So this will keep it laying flat, and then once it's sewn on, we don't need the stabilizer anymore because it will be stitched and it won't continue to stretch out, and the zipper will actually be the stabilizer. So, all right, so again, I've got my little folded flap, and there's great close-up pictures of this in the tutorial if you need. And lots of clips or pins. That is the key for sure. So this one was a little bit weird because of how far the hood sticks out. Because I unpicked it and didn't cut it, it actually sticks out pretty far over. So I'm trying to decide here, should I put it under that hood? That looks weird. I don't know if I've ever really had this hood sticking out like this before. Maybe I've just chopped it. You're fine. No question is a bad question. All right, well, I'm clipping it like this and going with it, and we'll see how it looks when we flip it over. I think it'll be okay. I might just have to tuck a little bit of the hood under. So again, this top part of the project is where you kind of make it up as you go and hope for the best. Okay, so here's my top part pinned, and this hood part is sticking out farther than I'm used to and farther than the other side did. So that's where I'm just trying to figure out, when we end up folding this zipper back, part of the hood is going to fold right here. And I think I'm just gonna have to fold it and top stitch it to get it out of the way. Okay, so there is our zipper. Yes, so Jeannie, here's the bottom of our zipper, and it separates, okay? And then, yes, like someone said, we want the top part of our zipper to line up, so you're also gonna check that the top part lines up before you hit those zipper stops, okay? All right, yes, feel free to ask questions. So I'm actually going to fully unzip the zipper now and separate it so I can sew this side easier. Okay, so we're stitching again with our black thread and our zipper foot, top stitching. My goodness, can you guys hear that alarm? It goes off every day at this time. It's one of my kids' watches. Every day I think I should go find that watch and I should go turn the alarm off, and I never do. In fact, and yesterday I was live with Angela Wolf. I don't know if you've caught any of my Brother Sewing live shows, but we were live yesterday on the Brother Sews page, and of course it went off because we were doing this about the same time, and of course I thought I should go turn it off before tomorrow's show, and then I didn't. So Virginia, for kids, I would always use a plastic zipper. Metal zippers are just too scary. If you get your fingers caught or skin pinched, it really is owie. So because I do sew primarily for kids, I do use a lot of plastic zippers. I would use metal zippers for like bag making or you know, decorative things like that, but personally I wouldn't use a metal zipper on clothing like this, but totally personal preference. You absolutely can do it. It won't change the outcome of this project at all. And again, I'm crunching through that bottom sort of plastic part of the zipper. Okay, so now we can zip it up and kind of check out our work before we top stitch. This is the point that if it's not going well, where you need to unpick it now before you get much further. And why aren't you sliding in? Oh, there it goes. Don't want to really put a difficult zipper in a kid's sweatshirt, but okay, so it looks like on my sweatshirt I have about 1 tooth higher on this side than the other side, but I'm not gonna fuss with that because the neckline still lines up okay and it will still look really cute as a hoodie. So you can see how it lays nice and straight down our sweatshirt, okay? And so the next step is to top stitch on both sides of the zipper to really reinforce it. So you'll want to take your seam allowance and fold it back over to the sweatshirt side of your seam allowance. And then I'm still going to use my zipper foot, but I'm going to go ahead and switch it to the other side. You know how your zipper foot has two sides? Switch it to the other side so I can use it for top stitching. And the only sort of tricky thing when you're doing this is as we're sewing up this front, when we get to the pocket, it is a lot of fabric because we've got 2 layers and then they're folded back, so it's really 4 layers, and 4 layers of sweatshirt fabric is not anything to sneeze about. So just go slow. I made it over the first sort of seam okay. And then there's even more than 4 layers when you're at the top where it was folded over to begin with. So, and then once we're off the pocket, it's smooth sailing all the way up until we get to that little fabric cover, and that's where we need to make sure we've kind of got everything tucked inside again, and that we're sewing over things really carefully. So we'll sail up to the top, and then we'll take a look at that part. So I'm going to make sure that that little fabric swatch that I sewed on there is fully folded back. As I get over, I don't want to see any raw edges of the fabric, and I also don't want to see the top of the zipper at all. Okay, so here's the top of one side of my jacket, and then, you know, we have this big flap down here, so actually what I have done on the ones that I've done like this is to add a little extra, which maybe I'll do that after I top stitch the other side and put my other foot on, a little extra sort of box top stitching around there to really hold down this extra, and then we can trim the extra fabric. But before we do that, let's top stitch this side. And this was the one that was a little bit wonky with that hood sticking out. So I'm going to try to ease the 2 together and top stitch down this side. We'll take a look and see how it turned out after I get down there. I think it's okay, especially if I top stitch an extra little box on top. I think it's going to look good. If you guys have any suggestions for things you want to see sewn live from my pattern library, please go ahead and leave that in the comments. My daughter needs a lot of new winter clothes, and the boys too, of course. So if you have something that you've been wanting to sew that you want to see me sew, please let me know. I'm happy to add that to our Wednesday list of projects. All right, so let's quick zip this up again and see how it's looking now that it should lay a little bit better now that we've top stitched it. Okay, so that is looking awesome. Would you ever have known that that didn't come with that zipper? It matches the side vinyl perfectly. Okay, and so now we're just going to add a little bit of extra top stitching up here to hold down these zipper tabs, which are looking just fine. And again, the white stabilizer is a little bit distracting, but absolutely will not be there after we wash this. So I'm going to add a little extra box of top stitching to try and hold everything together up here at the top. And it doesn't have to be a big box. It can be sort of a small rectangle. But still, we'll just help hold everything in place, and then we can go ahead and trim the extra fabric from there. Now, you don't want to stitch too far to the front because that's where those big plastic teeth are. So I don't know if you can see very well, but I've added a little box here to kind of hold everything in place. The black is pretty difficult to see, but if this is real life, this is the color I actually had of a hoodie. So this is me using this as a practical thing that I needed to sew anyway. So if you missed me at the beginning, you know, my oldest son loves hoodie, pullover hoodies. And then his brother, who we hand things down to, will only wear zip hoodies. So this is my way to get more life out of the pullover hoodies that the oldest will wear, to be able to hand them down to the next child. I put zippers in them for him, and then he wears them, and then we're all happy. Okay, so this side actually turned out really nice. So you can see how this just goes up into the hood, and I had to fold it over a little bit there to make it work. Here's my extra top stitching to hold everything down. I'm gonna trim the extra fabric and any extra threads back here. And this, I'm using knit fabric for the top of my zipper pull, so it's not gonna fray even if I just sort of chopped it back here. And then we can zip it up. And you can see how the top of it looks. Okay, and all the way down. So there is a great, sorry, just a second. A great way to add a zipper to a hoodie and to get more wear out of it, or if you've ever bought a hoodie and you thought it was a little bit tight, this might be a way you could add even a facing and add more width to it, or if it's one of those hoodies that like chokes you. You know, I've also been thinking about trying to add just like a small zip to a hoodie. I think that would be cute too, to try and add just a mini one to the top. So there's today's fun sewing tutorial. My son will be happy to have another outfit or another sweatshirt to wear tomorrow to school. And I will be back next week with another sewing tutorial. So again, if you have one of my free patterns that you've been, or any of my patterns that you've been wanting to make and would like me to walk you through it in a video style tutorial, I would love to do that. So leave me a comment if you have something you want to see sewn. Otherwise, I will pick something fun, and I'll be back next Wednesday with another great sewing tutorial. So I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.